Welcome, my dear guests, to the captivating expanses of my story. Chapter 5, At the Crossroads of Fate. With a grace that seemed to defeat all gravity, the battle-tested justice rises majestically out of the incomprehensible depths of the hyperspace. Their steel body, drawn by the countless scars of past battles, was accompanied by the other brave spacecraft of the First Fleet. Together, they advanced, ready to fulfill their destiny in the Almor home system, the vibrant center from which the Almorans ruled their mighty empire. Admiral Romero felt her hands rolling to her fists as she stared at the glowing main screen. The tension in the air was tangible because, at this place and time, the fate of the war would be decided. The hour of truth had come, and an epic decision-making battle was imminent. "Scan the system," grumbled Admiral Romero with a voice permeated by unwavering determination and urgent urgency. She had to reveal the secrets that lay before her. The security measures taken by the Almorans, the guardians of their home planet. Every step she took was of immense significance and could significantly influence the fate of her mission. With every button the sensor officer pressed, she felt her tension rising to immeasurable, and with every glance at the glowing screen, she found herself confirmed in her prediction. But in the midst of the fascinating illumination of the solar system, she could not even guess what breakthrough revelations were ahead of her. A discovery of such monumental magnitude that it would shake its knowledge to the ground. With a powerful voice, the sensor officer announced, "The Almor home system, as by the military administration, extends to Alsor. They claim to continue to control the inner planet." His words sounded through the command center while the air felt tension. But then another breathtaking revelation followed. The star base and space sovereignty are currently in the hands of the Almorans, who are in orbit around the system's main star. An enemy fleet has also gathered there. A ruin escaped the lips of the brave crew members as they heard the words echoing through the venerable halls of the flag bridge. It was a prophecy that announced a brutal battle of epic proportions that would transcend the limits of the imaginable. The atmosphere was filled with tension and determination as the crew prepared for the forthcoming battle. The time it was seemed to stand still while the galaxy inevitably changed. Admiral Paulina Romero's lips formed a ridiculous smile as she looked at the scene. In front of it was the primary star system of the Almorans, those fearless beings who had encamped here. Your beloved home planet proudly sits in the middle of the system, a jewel of immeasurable value. Like any species, the Almorans were deeply inclined to regard their homeland system as a precious small mortar. They would defend it with all their strength and repel any attempt to regain it with relentless determination. With a majestic attitude and an aura of determination, Admiral Romero raised her voice as if challenging the power of the universe itself. Her words permeated the room as she said, with a mixture of burning curiosity and deep-rooted concern, "What is the current state of our proud fleet?" The comm officer, a man of iron discipline and unshakable calm, conveyed the message to her with a voice free from any uncertainty or hesitation. 5 cruisers, 19 destroyers, and 26 corvettes are ready for deployment." His words were reflected in the headquarters as they absorbed the significance of these numbers. There was an impressive arsenal of warships at their disposal, and she could not help being fascinated by the power and strength of her fleet. But as she looked at the figures, she felt the responsibility on her shoulders. It was up to her to lead this powerful fleet and navigate her crew safely through the dangerous waters. Paulina Romero pressed her lips tightly as her eyes rested on the decimated fleet the previous battles had characterized. But at this crucial moment, there was no way out for her. With a majestic voice, she commanded, "Bring the interstellar ships into a tactical formation that will enable us to exploit the superiority of our weapons fully." Their words penetrated the flag bridge's sloping corridors and filled the brave crew's hearts. Without hesitation, they forwarded the commands to the command bridges of the other ships. The cosmic wind whistled against them, whirling wildly around them, letting their shields shine brightly. Meanwhile, they implemented the commands to prepare for the forthcoming battle. It was a moment of unparalleled truth in which the fate of the brave teams and their daring mission was at stake. Each warrior, filled with unwavering determination, felt the immense significance of this moment and was ready to mobilize his innermost to the glorious victory. The Admiral, a figure of iron determination and unwavering faith, knew that she could count on her brave Marines of the Space Fleet to cope with any challenge the universe faced them jointly. The ships barely heard their acceleration as they unstoppably pursued their destiny. In the depths of the galaxy, where the boundaries between the stars are blurred, and the power of space is guarding the fates of the worlds, Alsor lay. A once flourishing world is now trapped in the net of political intrigues and military occupation. Under the iron hand of the military administration of Kasach, While the sovereignty of space was over the mighty space empire of Alsor had become a game of fate. The once so proud and independent world was now pushed back and forth by the galaxy's forces without its inhabitants having a choice. Saint General Nadine Heimer was a brave warrior and leader amid these turbulent times. She had the difficult task of administering Alsor and leaving her adjutants behind to maintain order. But her worries were significant because she knew that the inhabitants of Alsor were trapped in a dark time, forced to surrender to their fate. There was still peace on the surface of Alsor, but it was only a matter of time before the unrest broke out. Once proud and resilient, the civilian population had resigned and surrendered to their fate. But deep in their hearts was the desire for freedom and justice, and this spark would not take long to be lit. The story of Alsor was far from over. In the shadows of oppression and suffering, a resistance would form, ready to oppose the forces of the universe. Saint General Nadine Heimer would be at the forefront to free Alsor from destiny's claws and inaugurate a new era of peace and freedom. The stars would witness how a brave warrior and her faithful followers would change the course of history. The future of Alsor was in their hands, and they would not disappoint them. Her assistant tried to reassure her that everything was in the best order at the moment. Until now, the loyal forces of the Space Empire had not mobilized troops for a possible invasion, and even the partisan groups on the surface had behaved surprisingly calmly in recent weeks. However, Nadine Heimer was uncomfortable about the situation in the Almor home system. While she was traveling, with the main force of the mobile army in a distant solar system to secure another colonial world of the Almorans, doubts broke on her. Nadine Heimer raised herself majestically on the summit of a tall castle, which marked the boundaries of her camp on Wellstance. The sun leaned toward the horizon and threw its last rays over the vast land as the firmament was immersed in a gentle, warm light. A breath of reverence permeated Nadine's being as she witnessed this breathtaking spectacle. Even in the deepest depths of life, she still found a source of beauty that touched her heart with incomparable grace. A smile of inner satisfaction could not suppress her, because she knew that she was part of a larger story unfolding before her eyes. In the ancient, venerable chamber of the Imperial Senate, a tense silence filled the air. Environment Minister Baran rose majestically and began to reveal with thoughtful words the final aspect of the breakthrough ecology tradition that was now to be put into the world. He concluded his words with a smile that seemed to hide the universe's secrets. To preserve the cosmic balance in its perfect harmony, I dare recommend that we devote ourselves to the fascinating world of adaptive symbiosis. Slanted by a holographic connection, Nadine leaned her head thoughtfully. May it be. The balance of nature must remain in harmony, she replied thoughtfully. Even the noble Empress Savia Heimer, of a beauty that seemed to come from nature and immeasurable wisdom, bowed her head acknowledgingly. Their sparkling eyes reflected a profound endorsement of the bold proposal, which exceeded the limits of what could be imagined. The adaptive symbiosis is to become a reality, she said with a voice that sounded like a heavenly melody in the ears of those present. May they bring harmony and balance back to our worlds. Their words rang through the magnificent hall while the crowd stared at their lips, filled with reverence and hope. The gathered individuals were able to guess that that idea carried an enormous power that could change the fabric of nature on the distant worlds of Kasach and would inaugurate an era of unimaginable cohesion. With a sigh of relief, Baran rested comfortably in his chair. The completed ecology tradition filled him with a profound satisfaction that permeated his soul. A comfortable feeling of fulfillment flowed through his body as he realized he had contributed to it. Nadine gave her face a charming smile, permeated by an aura of encouragement. In their joint symbiosis, they had accomplished extraordinary things, which broke the boundaries of the imaginable. While the Senate held on to endless discussions, Rita found refuge in her mysterious laboratory, where she tirelessly modeled on the forges of innovation. With every skillful handshake, she refined the Corvette armor and the regulations until they were in perfect harmony with the laws of physics. But when the final work had not been completed, she turned to the next enormous undertaking that was supposed to break the boundaries of what could be imagined, the groundbreaking exploration of quantum firewalls. Sinking into the depths of her thoughts, Rita penetrated into the incomprehensible vastness of the quantum universe. She revealed the secrets of a new reality with every step she dared to take into this unknown dimension. The quantum firewalls, those mysterious shields that preserve the foundation of the digital world from the attacks of insecurity, were their targets. But this challenge was so complex and fascinating that even the most daring scientist's dreams of science could only have a fleeting glimpse of its true potential. Rita, a pioneer of the unknown, plunged into the depths of the inconceivable. It manipulated the quantum currents with a grace that reflected the dance of the stars in the universe. Their hands, sliding like artistic tools through the dimensions, were the key to a new era of science. With a glowing smile circling her lips and a sparkle in her eyes reflecting the depth of her vision, Rita Griffin, the undisputed chief scientist of the mighty empire, announced with a euphoric voice filled with boundless enthusiasm, "These breakthrough firewalls, my dear friends, will revolutionize our computer systems, in a way beyond our boldest imagination. The days of worry and banging in the shadow of the hackers that threaten our precious data are numbered. Because soon they will face an insurmountable barrier that will make it impossible for them to infiltrate our digital fortresses." Her words permeated the room, like an echo of hope, and filled the hearts of the listeners with a spark of confidence that dissipated the darkness of uncertainty. The Empire's chief scientist had developed a revolutionary approach that would raise security in the era of virtual reality to a level that had never been reached before. With her vision of a future free of hackers, she gave people a world where their personal information would finally rest in a haven. Even Hinata Takahashi could not suppress a smiling smile. Rita Griffin's enthusiasm was simply contagious. But in a gentle tone, she warned the protagonist, "But remember, my dear companion, not every step towards progress is glorious, and the path to fulfillment is paved with thorns. Behind the veil of knowledge lie sometimes evil dangers." A heavy sigh escaped Rita's lips as she suddenly saw a glowing light in her eyes as she looked at Hinata. "You have undoubtedly acquired the knowledge of wisdom, my love. I will proceed with the utmost caution, I swear to you solemnly." Hinata nodded with a moment of calm as she looked deep into her friend's eyes. A silent pact of connection was concluded between them. At that moment, Hinata realized that she could trust her girlfriend unconditionally. Together, they would unite their forces and ensure that their revolutionary discoveries would benefit not only themselves but all of humanity. It was a burden that she carried with pride. Because they recognized the enormous power inherent in them to promote peace in the galaxy's infinite vastness and improve countless individuals' lives. With a shared determination shining in their eyes like stars and a knowledge deeply embedded in their minds, they were ready to face unimaginable challenges and put their revolutionary ideas into practice. They knew the road ahead would be immeasurably long, but their determination was unwavering in achieving their goals and bringing about a wave of positive change. The monumental confrontation over the homeland of the Almorans erupted in ruthless violence. It seemed like a heroic battle against insurmountable obstacles, as the waves of a trembling ocean threw the Almorans' defenders against Kasach's unstoppably advancing space fleet, redecimating their ranks with each attack. Admiral Romero pressed her pearl-white teeth against each other with iron determination while her majestic spacecraft suffered unstoppable losses. The fateful battle was fought in the infinite vastness of the universe, but it could not allow this unique planet, of immeasurable value to the kingdom, to be lost in the enemy's claws. No, she would fight to the extreme, to the last thread of her brave soul. The pulsing lights of the control consoles cast a ghostly glow on her determined face as she analyzed the tactical data. Every moment, every second could bring the decisive moment when victory was close to reach. The Empire's future hung on a silk thread, and she steered this thread with an iron hand. The screams of despair and the desire to fight dampened her ears as she passed the orders to her brave crews. Their voice, permeated by a mixture of strength and determination, sounded through the endless corridors of the flagship. The men and women who were loyal to her would fight for her to the last breath. They were a unity, an unbreakable pact of courage and willingness to sacrifice. Time seemed to stand still as the battle reached its peak. The enemy's ships were shot in pieces by the destroying torpedo missiles. "Concentrate your ointments on the marked vulnerabilities," she cried, whispering like thunder in the air while justice was mercilessly attacked. "We must bring this station back into our power." After an epic 3-day battle of relentless fighting, the glorious First Fleet finally brought the enemy squads to their knees. They even brought down the fortified space station with one last desperate effort. Exhausted and pervaded by the euphoria of victory, Admiral Romero fell into the oversized, luxurious chair, which enclosed her with its soft pads. Her gaze wandered over the room, illuminated by the pulsating lights of the control consoles. But despite her triumph, a heavy burden was on her shoulders. The battle had demanded a high tribute she had willingly paid to obtain the victory. 5 majestic destroyers who once floated proudly through the infinite vastness of the universe were now lost. Their powerful cannons, once symbols of power and horror, were silenced. 3 agile corvettes, once hunting around like predators, had also disappeared. The losses hurt like wounds cut deep into her soul. But the Admiral knew that this was the price she had to pay for victory to protect humanity. But this undertaking had to be postponed for a while. Above all, it was essential to soothe the minds of the people. With a fierce passion, Saint Nadine hoped that the desired triumph would soon be granted to her, while Admiral Romero, for her part, sought inner peace deeply embedded in her. On the distant planet Kasach, where the stars shone in a fascinating dance in the sky, the chamber of the Imperial Senate had now gathered in a majestic meeting room. The atmosphere was filled with tension and expectation as members of the Senate, with thoughtful steps, advanced the next steps of their planning. During this magnificent room, filled with holographic projections, Saint Nadine Heimer arose, an outstanding personality with an aura of power and knowledge. Her voice permeated the room about her groundbreaking progress in the sector around Alsor. Each of her words was like a sparkling star, filling those present with astonishment and hope. The audience listened silently as she worked on the wonders and achievements of her mission. But Saint Nadine Heimer was not the only one to produce fantastic news. In one corner of the room, Minister of the Environment Baran, a wise and respected elder whose gray hair indicated years of experience, stood up. His movements were gracious as he stood up and spoke with a voice full of wisdom and meaning. At this solemn moment, Environment Minister Baran announced the completion of the ecology tradition. His words sounded through the room and filled the hearts of those present with joy and admiration. Completing this tradition was a milestone that led the planet of Kasach into a new era of environmental protection and sustainability. The chamber of the Imperial Senate was filled with a sense of hope and pride. The little steps they had tirelessly taken to protect and preserve the planet were worthwhile. The future of Kasach and its inhabitants now seemed to shine in a shining light as they jointly paved the way to a better world. A whisper of reverence and admiration permeated the hearts of the assembled as they became aware of the magnitude of this breakthrough event. At that moment, the future of the planet Kasach seemed close to reaching and filled with immense potential. The noble Empress Savia Heimer listened anxiously while signs of concern appeared on her majestic forehead. The war, which broke into the country like an unstoppable storm, did not show any signs of slowing down. In the midst of these dark times, in which the shadows of evil continually floated over the kingdom, hope and fear remained inseparable. Our empire has undoubtedly undergone dark trials over the past few months, Savia said in a voice filled with deep reflection. But now let us look to the future, my dear comrades. We will regain that precious harmony that once so tenderly embraced our hearts. A burning spark of determination flashed in her eyes as she unwaveringly sought to walk this path together, despite the countless obstacles that might come their way. The shining light of hope still filled the room, and this flaming flame continually winged their hearts. And as long as this tiny spark of hope is not extinguished, the mighty empire will never stretch its weapons. May the sparkling stars and show them the way through the impenetrable darkness. Savia let her gaze swing through the window for the last time as the darkness slowly began to come in. The sparkling stars in the sky seemed to penetrate their eyes, and the mysterious aura of the night surrounded them like a protective veil. Somewhere out there, beyond the invisible boundaries of the universe, her brave followers fought for Kasach's future. Their hearts were beating in harmony with the pulsing rhythms of the universe as they courageously faced the challenges that fate had imposed on them. But Savia was sure that they would ultimately triumph. Their determination was unwavering, like the rock that defends the storms. She was a warrior of hope, an embodiment of light in a world threatened by darkness. Her words were like a mantra that filled the hearts of her followers with unwavering faith. In their eyes, the future was reflected, in which Kasach would bloom like an exotic flower amid a cramped desert. She could already perceive the beauty of this place, the majestic towers that stretched toward the sky. The atmosphere was filled with excitement and the certainty that Kasach would become a true paradise. Because deep down in their hearts, a burning flame burned for the kingdom of Kasach. Hey, I would be happy if you could give my video a like, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date.